Yo, so September 9th, 2025, and the topic on my mind today is inspired by a video I saw this morning, and a coach, not sure if it was a dad, I don't know, I'm not sure, I think it was a coach, was saying how kids are different today. Like, when he was a kid, like, he used to watch the game. He used to sit there with his dad at night and watch the TV and watch how players played and think about how they were good, how they were bad. Kids nowadays don't watch the game. They don't care about the game. First of all, I think that it's crazy that we're going to blame the kids for being different in today's age. Okay? Because if the kids are different in baseball today, that's a byproduct of how they were raised in the world that they grew up in. It's a byproduct of how they were raised in the world they grew up in. So to say they're different is like saying the sky is blue. We know that they're different. We know the sky is blue, okay? It's not rocket science to understand that. But to say that they're different and that's a bad thing, and they're not as good as previous generations, or they don't care as much as previous generations, is a crazy statement. Because they care about things. Kids care about things. There's things that they're very interested in. A lot of them are interested in video games. A lot of them are interested in certain like niche topics nowadays because they have access to technology and different things. A lot of them are interested in different things. So their interest level is there on things. Okay? But let's circle back to the parents and how they were raised. Okay? Coaches and parents create the players that were raised today. Okay? Based off the environment, right? It goes hand in hand. So these kids were raised with technology their whole life. So that's the environment. And they were raised by parents and coaches, okay? So, if you have an issue with how these kids are, you have an issue with how they were raised. So you can't have an issue with the kids. You can't say the kids are like free, like completely free will, and they have their own, they completely know everything about the world, and they have like 30 years of experience in life like you do. You can't point the finger at the kids. You got to point the finger at the parents and the coaches. So if you have an issue with them, was this generation raised with the best discipline you think they could have been? Do you think this generation was raised with the best mindset you think they could have been? Okay, do you think this generation was raised with the best work ethic that you think they can? Because those are the controllable, tangible things that actually pay off as habits in these kids' lives. Work ethic, mindset, right? Those are the habits that actually build stuff in their life. So if you're saying these kids have bad habits, they were raised with the okayness to have these habits. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that the world's perfect and everyone can do it. But I am saying that it is crazy to point the finger at kids and say that they are different. We know that. The sky is blue. Yes, it's obvious, okay? So why point the finger when you could be a good example of how you could be? You could be that good parent, that good coach, that good mentor that sets a good example. But you can't even set the example if you yourself is not disciplined, have a good work ethic, have a good mindset. How can you set an example when you don't even do that yourself? How can you point the finger at kids nowadays for not having XYZ, when you don't even do X, Y, Z? It's so easy to be like, oh, back in my day. The same people that used to get frustrated by people saying back in my day are actually the ones that are doing the back in my day stuff now. No one cares about back in your day because the world is different now. The world is different now. Every kid has technology. Every kid has a cell phone mostly. Every kid has a tablet. They reach a certain age, they can talk to ChatGPT. They can watch YouTube on anything, anywhere about anything. You grew up with a TV, okay? You grew up with a cell phone that had a string on it, okay? Two different worlds, two different stories. You can't compare them. You can't say either one of them's better. But there's different distractions, different things to focus on in both contexts. It was easier for you to focus back then because you had limited distractions. All you had was a TV. Right? If you got distracted, that was your own doing. Nowadays, distraction is the main thing. These kids are distracted not only by a TV, but a tablet, by a phone. All the applications on that device. So honestly, it was easier for you to focus back then, and you chose not to, as a parent, as a coach, as someone who points the finger at today's generation of kids. And that's why it's so easy for you to look back and be like, why are kids so different now? Why can't they focus? That's why it's so easy, because you can't understand what it's like to grow up as a kid today. That's why you point the finger. So like I said, if you want the generation that's growing up now to change, be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the person that you wish to see more of. And if you're a player listening to this too, it applies to you. Be the player that you want to surround yourself with. If you can't focus on yourself more than you focus on others, then you will not get that far in this life. You will not build that much great stuff. And I'm only 24, so I can't fully speak on this yet. But if you focus on others more than you focus on yourself, in the beginning, because in the beginning you got to focus on yourself. You got to develop yourself to a point where then you then can serve other people. But you can't be so caught up in everyone else's wrongdoings. Focus on yourself. Set a good example. And that will set a good example for more and more people. If more and more people set a good example, more and more people will see good examples. I don't think that's too hard of a concept to understand. As a parent, as a coach, lead the next generation better than you were led. And don't compare apples to oranges. They're not the same. And it'll be like, oh, obviously. But you're trying to do it when you say this generation is different. This generation has different struggles that have never been struggled like before. So help them in ways that they've never received help before. Set a good physical example every single day. Be a physical example. Be in shape. Talk with a type of discernment. You can talk with a type of discernment once you're in shape because you have physical discipline. Learn stuff new and have a good frame of mindset. Don't look at all the negative things, like you pointing out right now that the new generation is different and these kids don't love the game like they used to. Have a better mindset than that. Don't be so negative. Be a positive mental reinforcer. Okay, so be a physical good representation of something. Be a mental good representation of something. Positive reinforcer. Okay? Spiritually. Teach these kids to have faith in their work. You don't think You think that it's all up to God and it's all up to hope. I hope this happens because you've never put in serious work over an extended period of time to garner a result. Okay? I put in a lot of work to garner a byproduct which was all American. But after doing that, I can tell you that if you put in consistent work on a daily basis, there's no reason to have fear, there's no reason to have doubt, there's no reason to have anxiety, there's only belief. And you can get as spiritual as you want, but the simplicity of it all is belief in a greater version of you. Belief that you can succeed. And all that boils down to is knowing that the work you're putting in is going to pay off. And talk to people that have actually done something. They'll tell you that and they can instill the belief in you. Be a good role model physically. Be a good role model mentally. Be a good role model spiritually. If you do those three things, all the things that you think are wrong with this generation will get fixed immediately around you. And when they get fixed around you, those will affect other people that will do better themselves. And those will affect more people that do better themselves. But it all starts within. You can't go around pointing the finger when you yourself don't got nothing figured out. You can't go around pointing the finger when you yourself never played higher than JV. You can't go around pointing the finger when you yourself never hit above 300. Okay? The reason there's metrics, the reason there's awards, the reason there's things in this life that only get rewarded to a certain amount of people is so that those people are the ones that earn something that's difficult to earn, and they can lead. Those are the people that should be leaders. Those are the people that should be telling and influencing. But if you haven't done certain things to garner certain results, I won't even say rewards, certain results, then how are you going to point the finger and tell the next generation that you got to be better and you got to do this and you got to do that and you want to hold them to a standard when you can't even look in the mirror and hold yourself to a standard? Crazy. Crazy. So if you want to help the next generation of baseball players as best you can, point them in the right direction if you're not the direction. If you're not the direction, if you're not the example, point them in the right direction. That's why I created Undiscovered Prospects. Discover yourself so the world can discover you. I know exactly why I succeeded and became an All-American. You can say whatever you want. It was only one season. It was Division III. You can say whatever you want, but I created a framework that produced a result. So therefore, I have a formula that works, a framework that works. Not saying I have all the answers, but I have answers that work. So look, I'm grateful for the opportunity to help the next generation of baseball players in any which way I can. But it all starts with the mindset. And we all got to think from the mindset to affect the next generation properly. Not only the next generation of player, but the people leading that generation of player needs to have the correct frame of mind to lead them properly, efficiently, to the best of our abilities. Because what we want to see in the world, we must bring out as the parents, as the coaches, as the leaders. And I challenge you to don't get frustrated with the things that I say. Don't get rubbed wrong with the things that I say. Go out and actually build the things that you want to see. Surround yourself with the people that you want to see. Thomas Evans, Coach Red, Undiscovered Prospects. Discover yourself so the world can discover you. Peace.